The last game played before Major League Baseball formally instructs umpires to begin aggressively enforcing the rule against the use of foreign substances by pitchers, by position players. There are all kinds of questions about this. How many checks will there be during the course of the game? How will closers be handled? How will relievers be handled? We're going to get answers because we're going to interview umpire Bill Miller during the course of this game, Matt.
Looking forward to that, and maybe Bill can shine some insights on how this is all going to work. Very tricky stuff coming up in less than 24 hours as soon as tomorrow's Major League Baseball schedule commences. Yeah, it's going to be much talked about, as it already has for the past number of weeks. And Mike Schilt has been in the midst of that discussion as well. We'll talk about how he played a role in the dialogue as well. Let's take a look at the Cardinals Taco Bell starting lineup. Edman, Carlson, and Goldschmidt off the top. Two switch hitters, followed by a guy that socked a big homer in the opener. Arenado, O'Neill, and Sosa 4 through 6. Arenado had really been struggling prior to his homer in the opener. Paul DeYoung, Andrew Kisner spells Yadi Molina at catcher. And the guy they call KK, Kwang Hyun Kim, on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. They'll take swings against the 32-year-old veteran left-hander Drew Smyly, coming off a win last time around Sunday at Miami. 3-3 on the year with an ERA in the mid-5s. He has not replicated the great success he had last year in his brief stint in San Francisco, with Smyly looking for 2 straight winners out there tonight.
Yeah, Smyly with a fastball, a cutter, and a curveball. Curveball is the signature pitch at 38% of the times. Has been getting pounded here at home, and something to watch tonight. Gets destroyed on his second pitch. Looking for a good start tonight. Everything comes off the fastball. Strike one is paramount.
Well, a terrific day in the stands. Father's Day. First day of summer. A lot of optimism all over not only Major League Baseball, but all over the country as the pandemic eases past. And the first pitch of the night to Tommy Edman is in for a strike. Edman had a big opener, 3 for 4. With a homer, or rather double rather, and a stolen base. And a breaking ball's in for a strike to put him behind quickly 0-2. Well, Mother Nature's smiling too, because there was a thought after yesterday's rainout that they'd have a hard time getting the doubleheader in today, which really would have been a problem for the Braves, given they've got a doubleheader to play tomorrow at Citi Field against the Mets, as there's one gone to start the night.
And the Mets with the best home record at Citi Field. It'll be a great challenge for the Braves. 4 games in 24 hours.
I mean, and one of those being against Jacob deGrom. Could there be a rougher 48 hours around your Father's Day rather, than what the Braves are up against? Here's Dylan Carlson now with one gone. Carlson had a couple of hits in the opener. This is an opportunity for a Cardinals team. And, you know, we checked their standing in the NL Central when we came on the air. They're in the midst of a stretch here of 20 straight against sub-500 teams. And even though Atlanta is a very good team and still considered a favorite in the division, they've not gotten over the 500 mark yet, so they qualify here. An opportunity for St. Louis to find some offensive footing and perhaps make a pre-All-Star break run in the division. And a quick strikeout recorded by Smyly, 2 gone.
Good fastball here, top of the zone. Curveball is a strikeout pitch, but this is really good sign here for Smyly. 4-seamer, top of the zone, crisp.
2 quick outs for him. Here's Paul Goldschmidt now. So it's a Cardinals team, Alex, that had been limited to 3 hits in back-to-back games. If ever a team kind of appreciated a rainout, it was the Cardinals yesterday, because they came out with a whole different approach in game 1 of the doubleheader. A couple big homers, 9 runs, and a breezy win.
Indeed, and their 2 sluggers, Goldie and Arenado, over the last 7 games, 7 RBIs. Today's game, 7 innings, 7 RBIs to match it.
Adam Wainwright took the support and rode it to a victory today. We'll visit with Adam a little bit later on in the telecast tonight. 3 balls and no strikes. Meanwhile, to Paul Goldschmidt. St. Louis entered the day ranked dead last in runs per game in the month of June. Losers in 13 of 18. So that big game 1 number was a welcome relief. Sharply hit right at the shortstop, Dansby Swanson, and a sharp opening inning for Drew Smiley in the nightcap. Half inning gone. Cardinals 0, Atlanta. Stretch of reaching base safely in 26 consecutive games in the opener. Still one of the most feared talents in the sport, and he leads off on the Braves Taco Bell starting lineup as we go to the bottom half of the first, followed by Freeman and Albies. As per usual, Austin Riley bumped up to the cleanup spot recently at third. Swanson, Abraham Almonte, Heredia, Smith, and Smiley round things out for the Atlanta Braves. Taking swings against the 32-year-old veteran left-hander Kwang Hyun Kim, 1-4 on the year, coming off a no decision Tuesday against Miami, in which he threw the ball very well. He had lost his previous 4 starts before holding down the Marlins to the tune of 1 run over 6 innings.
Yeah, season high 6 innings, Matty, and also season high 5 walks. So looking to be more efficient early in the count. Now, the Marlins last start only swung at about 33% of their pitches, meaning they were very patient. That'll be exactly opposite tonight against the swinging Braves.
The Braves rather have a swing percentage, a swing rate of 49%, which is first in the National League. And they're very aggressive on the first pitch as well. 3 balls and a strike to count to Acuna, leading things off in the home first. Kim is a fast worker, as we have seen on Sunday Night Baseball already this season. We had one of his starts earlier this year against San Diego, Alex, which, if folks recall, he breezed through 3 innings, ran into trouble in the 4th, and then could not recover. After falling behind Acuna, it's a full count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And he missed with ball 4. Acuna aboard to start the home first, and that'll bring up the reigning National League MVP Freddie Freeman, who was 1 for 3 in the opener and who has enjoyed a good series over the weekend against the Cardinals, 5 for 12 in 3 games. See the 40 RBIs for Freddie this year, 898 for his career, creeping up on a milestone number. When he gets to 900, he'll become just the 6th Braves player to reach that plateau, and it's all the blue blood company that you'd expect: Hank Aaron, Chipper Jones, Eddie Matthews, Dale Murphy, Andrew Jones, and Freddie soon to join the club. 1-1.
Hey, Matt, you remember earlier this year, Freddie, when he got off to a slow start, a lot of questions, and Brian Snitker was like, yeah, he's going to hit. And now 9-game hitting streak, 395 with 3 home runs during that stretch.
Yeah, Buster, he's going to certainly hit, and he's done that his whole career. The one thing that stands out, 2 for 28 earlier this year against lefties. But the biggest difference between last year and this year is lack of hitting of the fastball. Last year he had 435 last year and only 235 this year. Those numbers will improve as the weather gets warmer in Hotlanta.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, some of those questions about Freddie and when Brian Snitker felt like he had to speak up for his superstar, which he knows he didn't need to, but he did anyway. It's in a 2-week stretch where he was 8 for 48. And the questions came out about his inability to hit the fastball. No such problem as far as the Braves are concerned. And a fly ball out to center field for Dylan Carlson. And that's the first out for Kim tonight. This is, and it's worth repeating off the top as we look at Freeman flying out again. This is a tough 48 hours for the Atlanta Braves, Alex. Do you ever recall back-to-back doubleheaders? I know there's 7-inning games now, but still, with travel tonight.
Yeah, not with travel. I mean, I've played 4 in 48, but when you put travel to what could be, you know, tough weather here in the Northeast in New York, it's quite a challenge for the Braves.
Here's Ozzie Albies, now the switch hitting second baseman, 5 for 12 with a homer and 4 RBIs in the series. Yeah, the only other team in baseball that's had a double header turnaround, if you will, with all due respect to In-N-Out Burger, is the Cleveland Indians, who had back-to-back double dips in May. Braves haven't had to run this kind of gauntlet in 15 years. The ball and no strikes, the count to Ozzie Albies. And Albies pops it up. Edmundo Sosa there tonight in game 2, and there are 2 gone here for Kim in the first. Wainwright very good in the opener. And then you have the left-handed look here in the nightcap with different conditions. And here's Austin Riley now with a man on. Kim is fun to watch pitch. We talked about him when we had him about a month ago, in that he's not a guy that's going to light up the radar, and you can see that already. Throws a big slow curveball and a heater that doesn't even hit 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, and a reverse split guy, meaning that left-handers hit him about 100 points better than right-handers. A lot of that is he doesn't have the velocity to chase the left-handed hitters off the plate. And with the right-handers, he does a really nice job of throwing the fastball, the glove side breaking ball cutter, and can hit all 4 quadrants with the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer, breaking ball, and the slider.
And he's got that Rich Hill left-handers just kicked a field goal finish on the mound, which just as a style point, I've always found a lot of fun to watch as a fan.
Well, in the dugout perspective, I mean, the guys, the cat calls will be coming out and be like, what the heck is that? I mean, the guys can have a lot of fun with that, and I'm sure they're saying it again.
It feels like he's chuckling, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is looking over at him as he looks at his first base coach, Eric Young, and says, that's not his real move, is it?
He got to laugh about it because I picked up every
You hear EY?
Yep.
Just wants to make sure he hasn't forgotten about him. And Riley sends a ball foul up the line in left, not by much either. Austin Riley was hitless in the opener, 0 for 3. At some point, Acuna's got to be looking to run here. I'm not so sure his Jets are hot on a 1-2 count now. He had 2 stolen base attempts on Friday night against Yadi Molina. He got there on one of them and got thrown out on the other. Ball and 2 strikes, the count to Austin Riley. On the ground for Sosa, who's busy this inning. Nothing comes to the leadoff walk.
Gordo, vamos. Hey, Tortuga, te voy a llamar ahora. Tortuga, dale, Tortuga, vaya. Yo soy gordito también. Bienvenido al club, Tortuga.
You know, some things are funnier in Spanish. I know when, you know, our audience at home is reading that. I mean, he's the kind of guy that anything he says is funny, so likable, so respected. But some things don't translate as well. You got to hear it in Spanish. It's pretty dang funny.
And Nolan Arenado leads things off in the St. Louis second. Pablo Sandoval having a resurgent type year as a bench commodity in Atlanta again this year. And it's a ball and no strikes to the Cardinals' third baseman. The 5-time All-Star hit a homer in game 1 of the doubleheader. And that snapped him out of a career worst 0 for 20 funk. 2 balls and a strike. "13 homers, 47 driven in for Arenado. Another guy who, despite a slow stretch, nobody really worried about. And a high fly ball. He also leads the Cardinals in pop-ups. He is certainly no stranger to big Father's Day performances. Who could forget Father's Day 2017 as a Rocky? Nolan Arenado had an afternoon for the ages. Finished a cycle with a 3-run walk-off homer. It's the first time in Major League history that a cycle had been finished on a walk-off homer that came from the trailing team. And as he crossed home plate, he had a bloodied look on his face with his fist up that appeared on T-shirts in Denver and league-wide for years.
I mean, you're talking about a guy that loves the game of baseball, passionate, lives it, gym rat, cage rat, and tailor-made for the great town of St. Louis in Cardinals baseball.
2 balls and a strike to count to Tyler O'Neill, who was 1 for 3 with an RBI in the opener. Had been hitless in the series, 0 for 6 between Thursday and Friday's games 1 and 2. Two balls and 2 strikes. You mentioned O'Neill being a player to watch in this one tonight based on the fact that he stays on the breaking ball well. He's got an .804 slug against sliders this year, which leads all of Major League Baseball. And though Smiley doesn't throw technically a true slider, he's got that slurvy curveball that he uses quite often.
Yeah, 38%. And, you know, for Smiley last year, was striking out about 38% of his batters, not even 20% this year. So strikeout numbers are down this year.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Tyler O'Neill. Yeah, curiously, a lot of Smiley's numbers have changed from that big season he had in San Francisco in the COVID-shortened 2020 campaign. 3.42 ERA last year. 9 walks, 42 punch-outs. ERA is almost 2.5 points higher this year. And as you mentioned earlier, the walk-to-strikeout ratio not nearly as good. Here's the full count pitch home to O'Neill, and he loses him on ball 4. First Cardinal base runner in game 2. So a man on with 1 out now for Edmundo Sosa. Sosa 1 for 7 in the series, getting plenty of time at second base as he did on Friday night. It's a configuration that allows Mike Schilt to get Sosa and DeYoung in the lineup at the same time. And it's 0-1. Sosa filled in at shortstop primarily in Paul DeYoung's absence when he was on the IL last month. It is DeYoung that waits next. Oh, and 2. One of the things to watch with Smiley is the pitch count, not in a total aggregate sense, but per inning. He's had to work really hard to get through innings this year. A quick out here on Sosa as there are 2 away. Hey, look at the week's upcoming games on ESPN. Some great action starting tomorrow with Dodgers and Padres at 10 Eastern. Wednesday, same matchup, same start time. And then Alex Buster and I will have the Cubs and Dodgers at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday Night Baseball a week from tonight.
That's going to be a good one. Can't wait to see the Dodgers.
Dodgers have their hands full with the Diamondbacks today, of all opponents. First pitch to Paul DeYoung, rocketed foul.
Buster, Dodgers were up 9-1. Was that and Diamondbacks
Yeah, I think that
back?
was the score. And the Diamondbacks just cut the score to 9-8 in the bottom of the 8th inning. You talked about Padres and Dodgers. I think that's the best rivalry going in the sport right now. What do you guys think?
I love it. I mean, the power has shifted from the American League East, Yankee Red Sox days, to National League West, and David versus Goliath. Padres are tired of being David. They want to say, hey, you know what? We're here to play. We're the varsity as well.
What a fine play by Freddie Freeman. That strands a base runner and makes for a scoreless top of the second. An inning and a half out of the way in Atlanta. No score between the Cardinals and the Braves. Auto renters and home insurance. It's been great representation by Cardinal fans in Atlanta this weekend. It's confusing sometimes when you see all the red because the Braves have an alternate jersey scheme with red, but a lot of Cardinals logos at Truist Park this weekend. Swanson, Almonte, and Heredia here in the second for the home side. Swanson just 1 for 10 in the series so far after a hitless opener to the doubleheader. Dansby starts play with 11 homers and a .231 batting average. Regardless of the numbers, a favorite of manager Brian Snitker, who still has to remind folks that the expectation for Swanson was so high as a #1 overall pick, and these are Snit's words. They wanted him to be a 10-year veteran the moment he got here. 2-1 to Swanson is past Arenado into left field. Nolan a little slow to get to his feet after laying out to try to make that play.
Swanson yanks a changeup past Arenado, dives to his left. And if that man can't catch it with 8 gold gloves, not many will.
Can't be caught. Here's Abraham Almonte now looking to convert a modest 4-game hitting streak tonight.
Alex, I got a question for you. You just saw Arenado take a full-on dive, and it looked like he got a bunch of dirt down his pants. Does that happen a lot?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Then when the inning's over, you go down the dugout, you go down the tunnel, you unbuckle, you let all that stuff go, and you're ready to go again.
Or if you're Steve Lyons, you just do it right on the field.
Exactly.
0-2 the count to Almonte, who struck out twice in a hitless opener, and he has struck out in his first plate appearance tonight. 1 gone for Kim. You know, we showed you that shot of Brian Snitker in the Atlanta dugout. We'll visit with Snit a little bit later on today. Strikes me that on this Father's Day, the really wonderful, unusual nature of a man being a major league manager while his son is a major league hitting coach. And Brian is, of course, super proud of his son Troy, who is a hitting coach with Dusty Baker in Houston. And I asked Snit recently, you know, how often do you get a chance to talk to Troy? Because the rigors of the major league schedule are such that you're moving around in different days and on different time zones in different ways. He said, well, he calls to talk to his mom all the time, so I get a piece of him then. And he calls to talk to his mom more frequently ever since Martin Maldonado got to him. Because the Houston catcher calls his mom 3 times a day, including as soon as he gets out of bed in the morning.
Wow.
And on a discussion with the Astros, somebody said, wow, you call home a lot? He said, yeah, don't you guys call home a lot? Line shot right to shortstop for DeYoung, and out number 2. So after that little conversation, Troy calls home much more often than he used to, and Dad gets to jump on the phone every once in a while.
That's great. You know, with a lot of the Latino players, I remember Robinson Cano, Melky Cabrera, and others Gary Sanchez, they would call their mom 3 times a day, and all of them religiously, 30 minutes before they went to the line, before the game started, they would call mom on FaceTime and they would pray together, and it's just a really nice gesture.
2 gone with the runner still aboard now for the catcher Kevin Smith.
My mom used to tell me to stop calling home.
Learn to live on your own,
Exactly.
Alex.
I love mom's cooking too much.
Smith acquired via trade from Tampa Bay in mid-May. Spelling William Contreras in game 2 of the doubleheader tonight. And all this while Travis d'Arnaud is on the mend. d'Arnaud, the starting opening day catcher, coming off such a great 2020. And now Kim ahead, a ball and 2 strikes. In Kim's repertoire is a very good splitter that he likes to throw in 2-strike counts to right-handed batters. So I'll go ahead and guess. Split's coming.
Kim has been shaking a lot tonight. Last inning he shook 5 times to end the inning with a fastball away. Again. There he goes, fastball away.
1-2 pitch is a fastball away that's hit right to Paul Goldschmidt at first. Nothing comes of the leadoff single. A couple of scoreless innings on Father's Day in Atlanta. The hot button topic in Major League Baseball, the use of, quote, foreign substances on the baseball that in the eyes of a lot of critics feel like has given an unfair advantage to pitchers. Spin rates are up, strikeouts are up, as they have been for the last number of years. And the league crackdown begins tomorrow. Mike Schilt was at the middle of it when earlier this year Giovanni Gallegos had a hat confiscated, and Mike had some very strong words about the policy and about those who are breaking the rules, the unwritten rules perhaps, but they're firm rules put into place as of tomorrow. And again, we're going to chat with Bill Miller, Major League veteran umpire, coming up in a little bit. And as Andrew Kisner digs in to lead off the third, Buster, I'm going to let you loose on this one because you've been on this story from the get-go. You've written about it extensively, and there are some relatively new topics related to this that have been discussed.
That's exactly right. Reported today that at least 3 teams have decided that they're going to bypass the gentleman's agreement that's been in place for decades in Major League Baseball in regards to foreign substances. For years, managers on both sides would not ask umpires to check pitchers for foreign substances because they knew perhaps some of their own pitchers also had foreign substances.
It's a high fly ball out to right center. Heredia and Acuna, and Heredia makes the catch.
And so what's happening now is at least 3 teams that I've spoken with have decided that if they get information during the course of the game, whether it's through pictures or video or maybe data that indicates some pitcher's spin rate has suddenly jumped, then they're going to inform their manager, and then the manager at that point could ask the umpires to check the opposing pitcher. Now, I asked Mike Schilt before the game about what he was going to do in this regard, and he said that his hope is that with all the aggressive checking we're going to see from umpires, that managers won't have to do that.
0-1 pitch to Kwang Hyun Kim is fouled away. Yeah, you know, it brings in so many other variables too, including gamesmanship, and perhaps a manager requests a check even when nothing is suspected, just to try to get into somebody's head. There's so many different sub-talking points in this one bigger issue, as Smiley's got his 3rd strikeout of the game already.
One of the really interesting things about this is that how there's going to be a mass reevaluation of all pitchers under the sports umbrella, not only at the big league level, but at the minor leagues. We get closer to the trade deadline. And I had someone who heads up baseball operations for one organization say, you know what, we're looking at all the draft eligible pitchers differently, wondering if some of these guys may have benefited from some of these foreign substances. They have to decide as they move forward what's real and what was enhanced by foreign substances.
0-1 the count to Tommy Edman, a ball and a strike now. Well,
And
none
I'll
of
give
us.
you an
Sorry, Buster, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Well, I was just going to say
the other day. Go ahead, Matt.
None of us knew what spider tack was before recently. At least those of us that weren't involved in the pitching craft. We'll get into that next half inning. We'll literally get into it as Alex has just opened a can of it. Looks like baby food. Oh, great. Drew Smyly leads things off in the home half of inning number 3. Scoreless, the second of 2 on Father's Day between the Cardinals and Braves. Smyly then top of the order, Acuna and Freeman for Atlanta. Leadoff hitter has reached in 2 straight innings against Kwang Hyun Kim. But on neither occasion have the Braves been able to advance that leadoff hitter. 0-2 to Smyly, and a big curveball catches him looking. So we were talking about the substance spider tack prior to the last break, and here we are, live national television.
So
and Alex is about to break open a can.
By the way, spider tack, we're learning in real time what this is. It's pretty remarkable. I guess this was used for power weightlifters back in the day, but this is what you get here, which is pretty incredible. And for the fans at home, how does that work for a pitcher? Now, I'm the last guy that should be, judging about, rules and infractions and all of that.
There's a little irony here.
What's right, what's wrong. Okay. I'm definitely not the right guy for that, but this stuff is pretty dang sticky. So if you bring the camera at home, our producer Doug, if you don't mind bringing that in a little bit, the key for any pitchers, you see these seams right here, and think about it almost like having a handle. You can pull that handle. And the key is having these fingers on the fastball, on those seams.
Oh, Acuna got a hold of one. That one's going to go. Ronald Acuna Jr. had been quiet for a while, but that was career homer number 100. 1-0 Atlanta.
Acuna's ready, Panda's ready, a breaking ball.
And somewhere in the world there's an EDM DJ that's jealous.
How special this young man is. Combination of power and speed and passion and the ability as a young hitter to control the strike zone and yet be not a good but a great breaking ball hitter.
Well, that's a big one for Acuna for so many reasons. Not only does it end a 33 at-bat homerless stretch, not a big deal for most players. For him, it's significant. It also makes him the fastest player to get to 175, 100 homers and 75 stolen bases. There's a ground ball to the shift for out number 2 as Freeman is retired.
Matty was talking about Acuna and being a great breaking ball hitter. Here's a little slurve slider right into his wheelhouse. I mean, you miss this pitch, you're going to get exactly that. Look at the legs and the sound.
And Acuna has not stopped talking. I mean, he is shot out of a cannon as soon as that ball left his bat. A ball and no strikes, the count to Ozzie Albies. And Albies off the end of the bat pops it up. Sosa at the cutout, and the spider tack demo is on ice, if you will. Or is it? A day at the petting zoo in Atlanta. 1-0 Braves. 75. We talked about it a moment ago. Far fewer than the next closest on the list, Eric Davis. You, sir, took 470. Alex and Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson says hello with 479. So 1-0 Atlanta. Top half of the fourth, and Dylan Carlson leads it off. And bear in mind, in these 7-inning doubleheader games, a homer in the third inning feels a little different than a homer in the third inning of a regulation 9-inning affair.
Indeed, I'll tell you, both of these teams have struggled mightily with their bullpen. They wish they played 7-inning games. Both teams may be in first place.
To third for Riley, and there is one away.
So, Matty, I'm still having some fun over here.
Have you gotten that stuff off your fingers? Apparently not.
Not yet. But look, for any pitcher, one of the keys, Pedro Martinez did it naturally where he has long fingers, but you want your fingers on those seams as long as possible, right? And the longer they're on that ball, think about it like a handle, a lever. You can just pull it down from 12 to 6, creating more spin rate. And when you get it to 2,500, 26 RPMs, that's DeGrom, that's Scherzer, that's Cole territory. On the breaking ball, same exact thing. It's all about the seams, and the more you can spin it, the tighter you can spin it, you're seeing some of these wiffle balls out there that are pretty unhittable.
What happens when you mix it with the breath mints and the chapstick and the eye drops that you have on the desk there as well?
Yeah, this stuff's pretty good. But again, it's all really about manipulating the baseball. The more that you can have those fingers on the ball, the longer the better. And you can really just pull it down 12 to 6, and then when you spin it, you're able to spin it tighter. And RPMs also work with breaking balls. People only think about fastballs, but with the breaking ball, the tighter you can spin it, the more it's going to curve and the more violent the movement.
Counts a ball and 2 strikes on Paul Goldschmidt. 2-2 now. Well, some of the data that's being collected, in addition to some of the samples, would indicate that the spin rate is down. 4-seam fastballs this year. And when the spin rate is down, the results for the hitters go up. Now, I think it's only fair to have the other side of this discussion, too, because there are a lot of pitchers who, and you heard it a little bit in the sound that we played for you earlier, they have been using something for a long time. And it had always been kind of looked the other way. Some mixture of rosin and or pine tar and or sunscreen. You hear about it a lot. And on cold nights, a lot of guys feel like they just need something to help control or grip the baseball. The practice of rubbing up the baseballs as it used to take place, which was done by the umpire back in the day, has changed. And the tackiness that the umpires used to apply to the ball in a job that's now been relegated to clubhouse kids is not the same as it was 30 years ago. So pitchers have responded by using some of their own stuff, and it's become proprietary in many cases.
One of the things, Matt, you see, and for the fans at home, growing up, you saw a lot of pitchers going to their mouth to blow, and you go a lot to their mouth to lick. Very seldom do you see a pitcher going to their mouth like a quarterback to lick, because they don't need to anymore because they're using something else.
Here's Nolan Arenado now. 1 out, 1 on. And Arenado takes a breaking ball for a strike. Arenado popped up in his first try tonight. 2-run homer plus a double in game 1 of the doubleheader, snapping him out of an 0 for 20. Smith hoping for a play, and it's into the seats. Well, again, we hope to be joined by Bill Miller, who by the way, needs to finish up his actual job today because he's on the crew between the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. That game is finally a a final score, as LA was able to hang on. And Bill Miller's going to join us a little bit later on tonight to maybe fill us in on the enforcement end of this and what it's going to look like from the umpire's perspective.
Yeah, and Matty, from a player's perspective, as a hitter, when I think about spider tack, I want the best of both worlds. I want the pitcher to have something where they feel that they're not going to stick one between my head, right, and hit me because they can't control it. But I also don't want too much of a grip where they're throwing fastballs and sliders that are unhittable and making these violent moves. So somewhere in the middle, hitters, we use pine tar, but like George Brett got in trouble with that home run off Goose Gossage back in the late 70s, there's a limit to how much pine tar. So everybody's using the same pine tar and the same measurement. I think Major League Baseball will be very wise about how they deal with this. And look, it's not going to be perfect early, but Major League Baseball and the PA will try to do the best they can to land at a place where the game can keep moving forward.
Ball and 2 strikes to Arenado. There are legal sticky substances for sure. And that's another part of the discussion. A lot of people have suggested that maybe Major League Baseball at some point sanctions something that both pitchers and hitters can agree upon. Well, these breaking balls that Arenado keeps spoiling off have given him another chance. And it's still 1-2 to Nolan. Cardinals looking for their first hit against Drew Smyly in game 2 of this double dip. A 1-out walk here in the 4th. That missed way in. 2-2 now. Nolan Arenado, not a guy that's going to stay 0 for very long, as the homer and double would indicate earlier today.
That's a show me pitch. You throw a ball at my hip, you're basically telling me 2-2, you're going to throw me a breaking ball. So I would expect his best breaking ball after that fastball in, a show me fastball in. Here should come the curveball. If not,
two. Another fastball. Arenado lines it right to Riley, who gobbles it up for out number 2.
I'm surprised with the pitch selection. Arenado wasn't. A fastball that came in and a line drive that came out hot. And a nice play. Self-defense by Riley. 6'5" footer third baseman. Good reaction, good hops.
That was a 90-mile-an-hour pitch that on its way out got to over 102 miles an hour. Hey, a reminder, it's almost time for this week's 5th Inning Fast Talk presented by T-Mobile. Grab your phone during the mid-5th inning commercial break. Head over to ESPN's Instagram Live, where we'll be answering hard-hitting baseball questions submitted by you, the fans. Be sure to tune into this fast-paced live stream. You won't want to miss it. So with 2 gone now, it's Tyler O'Neill who drew the first of 2 walks against Smyly tonight. He takes a strike. Well, Mike Schilt was hoping that game 1 of the doubleheader was kind of a starter, if you will, to some offensive momentum. A couple big homers. St. Louis had homered only once in their previous 6 games. Cardinals had lost 13 of 18 before that game 1 victory earlier today. A ball and 2 strikes to count to Tyler O'Neill.
O'Neill, a 2 true outcome guy. Strikeout or walk. First at bat walk for only the 8th time this year.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Curveball's been a good weapon for Smyly all year, but his 4-seamer is what he's gotten his strikeouts on tonight. Only 4 pitchers in the game have struck out more batters with a curveball. Smiley's done a nice job mixing up his variety tonight. And it's a full count now, 3-2. We did talk about the pitch count story for him and about how he is averaging a bigger than usual workload per inning. 6 pitches to each of the last 3 batters, and a 7th to O'Neill, misses for ball 4. Our ESPN Plus Monday Night Baseball matchup. The A's are in Texas to take on the Rangers in the first of 4 at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. To get ESPN Plus, go to ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app. So first and second now for Edmundo Sosa.
2 walks for O'Neill, who already has 15 home runs this year. It's a great night already, walking twice.
And a strike to Sosa. You mentioned the Cubs and Brewers, both winners this afternoon. A virtual tie atop the pack in the NL Central. Would you believe that since Mike Schilt took over as Cardinals manager July 15th, 2018, St. Louis has won 197 games. The Cubs and the Brewers have won 197 games.
The parity is incredible, and the same is going to be true this year, Matt. I don't think anybody's running away in the Central, and it really is going to be about the front offices and health on who really wins this division. And trust me, they're looking right now. You talked about last week looking in the supermarket, but there might be also some flea market, right? You may want to look at some bargains and some folks that can actually help your team, turn the corner.
0-1 the count to Sosa. Popped him up. Should get Smiley out of the jam. 2 left stranded in the 4th. Note to self, no more spider tack demo.
I like the spider.
The telecast. Snit, happy Father's Day. Thanks for the time.
No, my pleasure. Thank you, guys, and happy Father's Day to you.
Hey, I want to ask you about the homer that Acuna hit, and you're asked about Acuna a lot, but specifically as Riley reaches to lead off the 4th, specifically he was really fired up, like shot out of a cannon, animated as soon as he got back into the dugout. What was that all about? Is that just him being himself?
No, yeah, and I think it's probably 100 homers. It's quite a milestone for a young guy.
So he was aware. He was aware of what he was creeping up on.
Yeah, you kidding me? Okay. I guarantee you they're aware.
Hey, Snit, we talked so much about Acuna, what a special player he is in the open. We talked a little bit about Albies, sometimes getting overlooked, only 24, doing great things. Albies, what's his upside in your opinion?
There's tremendous upside on this kid. I mean, the professionalism, the consistency in his work, the talent. He's just a player. He's one of those guys that reminds me like when I was around Rafael Furcal and guys like that just has energy every day, loves to play the game, never takes a day off, approaches every game with such a professional outlook and consistency in his work. I mean, it's really, really good.
Brian, I know that you're not a standings guy early in the season. You've said many times you don't really look at the standings until later on, but it's June 20th, first day of summer. Have you looked at them yet? And if not, when do you take your first glance?
I've looked. I know where we're at. I mean, it's it's one of them things. I just kind of still feel like we got so much baseball to play, and I just remember all these years here. It's kind of like once that All-Star break turns in, this thing gets really hairy. And you can still do a lot of good things. We're still trying to fight our way through to get everything going on the same page. I mean, some days we'll hit, some days we won't pitch, some whatever. We just have had a really tough time of getting everything coordinated on the same page. And I still feel like we're capable of doing that with who we have here.
A lot of our viewers may not know that 18 years ago you managed the pitcher across the way here, Adam Wainwright, in A-ball. 18 years ago.
Double A, actually.
Oh, Double A.
Double A, yeah.
Any insight to how he was back then?
You know what? He was a special kid back then also. I remember he was our pitcher of the year in Greenville. And I remember talking to him when he got traded and telling him, I was like, man, you're going to baseball heaven there in St. Louis. Because, we'd raised him. He's born and raised in Georgia here. And, I consider him a good friend to this day.
Double dip again tomorrow. Any special secrets for how to handle such a stretch of schedule for you guys?
You know what? You just have to do that. You got to handle it. And we'll be okay. I mean, honestly, I think these 7-inning games do wonders for all that.
Brian, we appreciate the visit as always.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank
you. Happy Father's Day again.
Game Pass. Own your rivals, own the show. Rated E for everyone. Paul DeYoung leads things off in the St. Louis half of inning number 5, rolling right along in a 1-0 Atlanta lead. Game 2 of a doubleheader. St. Louis claimed the opener 9-1, in part because of their ability to put the leadoff hitter aboard. In 3 of the 7 innings, they landed the leadoff hitter. Hasn't happened tonight against Drew Smyly, and as a matter of fact, the only base runners against the Atlanta Southpaw this evening in Game 2 have come on 3 walks. 4 no-hit innings by Smyly. Recalling the last time the Braves played a doubleheader at home, there was a 7-inning no-hitter thrown in the nightcap, but it was by a visitor, Madison Bumgarner, and that spurred the discussion as to whether or not 7 innings of no-hit baseball in this doubleheader format should constitute an actual no-hitter. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, if the rules are 7 innings or 5 or 9 or 12, that's the length of the game. I mean, you throw a no-hitter, should be a no-hitter.
2-2 breaking ball, swung on it, missed, and that's 4 strikeouts for Smyly in the midst of his best start of the year.
.78-mile-an-hour breaking ball here by Smyly, his best one, and it stays in the outer third. It never comes in. Tight, good depth.
Here's Andrew Kisner now. You always wonder how somebody's going to respond in different circumstances. And yes, Drew Smyly's a veteran, 32 years old, been around a long time. But he's pitching to a guy he doesn't have a lot of experience with in Kevin Smith. He's pitching in the 2nd of a doubleheader. 7-inning start. So far, so good.
Dearest Smoke Shacks, defenders of the dry rub, thank you for giving your all to a 20-pound hunk of brisket. Whatever you serve, we'll proudly deliver.
Pinch hitter for St. Louis now, as Kim will be done for the night. It'll be Lane Thomas to swing the bat off the bench. The rest of the night will be the responsibility of the much maligned Cardinal bullpen. So Kim gone after 4, allows the 1 run on 3 hits, touched up only by the Acuna homer.
Smyly, in his last 4 starts, has pitched 19 innings, 14 earned runs. Tonight, he's been Greg Maddux.
Looked like Ryan Helsley up in the bullpen a moment ago. We showed you Ryan up. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on the pinch hitter, Thomas, now. Yes, we have a positive make on the guy up in the bullpen. In the air to shallow center field. And another 1-2-3 inning for Drew Smyly, who has not allowed a hit through 5. That's it for the top of the 5th, which means it's time for the 5th inning fast talk presented by T-Mobile. Head over to Instagram Live right now.
This year,
keeping things simple, not getting caught up in too many numbers, and just using what works for me and what I've done in the past.
your dad, of course, has been a bodybuilder, Mr. Canada 1975. What'd you learn from him?
Yeah, my dad was a great influencer for me to get into the weight room the first time. Got me weightlifting, taught me workout regimens, taught me routines.
What's it like for you to look at his pictures from back in the day?
Yeah, he's a big dude, man.
How much have you worked out with him?
A good amount. We go occasionally in the off season, a couple times a week or so, and just like a little bonding trip or something. We all want to grow up as kids and be able to overtake that.
In the past, you've shocked teammates with your ability to play a keyboard. When did you start doing that?
I started learning piano when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. Half hour a day, hour a day. Once you get the scales and the chords, you can pretty much play anything you want. Learn to read music. It's like you're reading a language. It's definitely a way that I feel like I can open my pathways in my brain and be more rhythmic and have a better tempo.
What's the coolest reaction you got from a teammate the first time that you surprised them with that?
I was over in Seattle with my first big league camp, and I ended up playing them a couple different pieces on the keyboard. That got a nice little standing O. A lot of people don't expect something like that for me, being a little bit of a hunky guy.
You mentioned you're from Canada. Why baseball over hockey?
I think I was just better at baseball, honestly. Just had a knack for hitting the ball.
There's video of you hitting a home run on a ball off a tee. How much strength does that require?
Yeah, I think I let that one rip a little bit.
How would you feel if you were asked to be in the home run derby?
I'd accept it instantly.
So if I was that jacked, I would be digging myself all the time. He's a super humble kid. I would not be.
I would have about 100 tank tops in my closet. I mean, look at those arms.
Yeah.
So jealous.
He's jacked.
But I mean, he has the attitude of like a Canadian hockey player, just a good guy you want to go have a beer with, and humble. I loved how he said, absolutely, home run derby, I'm in right away.
He just likes the work, really. I mean, he's a worker. Fun stuff from Buster as always. Guillermo Heredia leads things off against Ryan Helsley, who is the new pitcher on the mound for the Cardinals. He starts with a strikeout, and there's one gone. Helsley last worked on Wednesday against the Marlins and earned the win that night. An inning and a third, did not allow a hit. Struck out a batter. The biggest problem for the St. Louis relief corps, it's been the same problem with their starting staff, is just throwing strikes. 62% strike rate, the lowest in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, 33 more walks coming into this series, more than the number 2. They lead baseball by that much.
Does the threshold for a quality start change in a 7-inning game? I don't believe it does, right?
It shouldn't.
So it does not.
Nope.
So another non-quality start today by a Cardinal, because they entered the day, I bring that up, 71 games now, and they've only got 24 quality starts. That's the second fewest ever by a Cardinal team through 71 games. Make it 25 because Wainwright gave him one. On the ground for Arenado. Was that a fair ball? Because he could make that play, by the way. It was foul. Okay.
One thing I've learned is never to give up on the Cardinals. I mean, you look at their history. Arenado, the 8-time Gold Glove winner. It doesn't matter if it's fair, foul. He can catch it all and make every throw. He showed us that last weekend here. But, if you think about the Cardinals, they can look back at 2006. They had kind of a similar June swoon. They struggled. They were not healthy. September came around in 06. They got healthy. They caught fire in October and, of course, won the championship. Never give up on Cardinal baseball.
Well, look, even as recently as 2019, Mike Schilt's first full season, they had 2 different 5-game losing streaks. There were moments when the pundits counted them out and they ended up winning the division. And it's ball and 2 strikes to the ex-Ray Kevin Smith. And speaking of the Rays, Buster, pretty big news in baseball today.
Yeah, the #1 prospect in baseball, Wander Franco, is being promoted to the big leagues for Tuesday's game by Tampa Bay. This is someone who's 20 years old, a switch hitter, 977 OPS in AAA. It's probably no coincidence that A, the Rays are calling him up at a time they've lost 6 straight, and B, when they're getting ready to face the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, the Red Sox have given them some trouble this year. In fact, the Red Sox have given the whole division trouble. That is big news with Wander Franco joining the big league team.
Seems like Tampa Bay, I mean, they just keep rolling out stars and young players. And I'm telling you, if you make a trade with Tampa, do it at your own risk. Watch your wallet, because they're smart and they come at it. They have the rare ability to thread the needle between rebuilding and keep winning. And they do both. Oakland does a nice job. The Rays do a nice job. It's very hard to do. And no one does it better.
And I know they've, as Buster mentioned, they've fallen on some leaner times this week. But for me, and having seen the whole league pretty extensively, I got the Rays as the team to beat in the American League. White Sox are really good. Boston has been really good. To your earlier point, Tampa they do a lot of things really well. Still 1-2 to Kevin Smith hanging around.
You talked about the White Sox being really good. You imagine if they had Tatis still playing shortstop. I know they have Anderson over there, but Tatis is a guy you can put anywhere.
Yeah, one thing to remember about the White Sox guys is we get closer to the trade deadline. Look, you're not going to bring in Tony La Russa as manager and then not go all in where you can at the trade deadline. They've had some major injuries during the course of this season. So you can bet as we move along toward July 31st, they will be one of the most active teams trying to go out and augment their roster.
Hey, Buster, one thing that, one of the reasons why I think in today's game Alex Cora is the best manager in the game is because he can play both old school and new school. But going into postseason with La Russa, going up against any young manager, advantage in a big way to Tony La Russa.
Certainly seen every situation that they're going to come across.
2 gone as Helsley strikes out Smith. Well, the White Sox, as good as they are, as deep as they are, didn't help this weekend. Swept by the Astros in a 4-gamer, their first 4-game losing streak of the year. And here is a part of our developing story tonight, and that's Drew Smyly. He has not allowed a hit through 5 and bats in his own turn in the bottom of the inning.
Matt, when you look at Smiley's numbers career, he's 1 for 42 lifetime. He's only got 1 hit in about 9 Ks. 1 for 42. That means he doesn't bunt. He only bunted once. And he puts the ball in play. So he thinks that he's actually a pretty good hitter. You take a guy like Colon who had similar numbers, but not 9 Ks. You have more like 30 Ks. So it's rare to have a pitcher go 1 for 42 with only 9 Ks. He's putting the ball in play.
Sure. Hey, by today's standards,
it's good.
Hit him 8th.
Yeah, 7th.
2 balls and no strikes. The count to Smyly. The lone run in this nightcap. The solo shot by Acuna in the 3rd. It's not only the lone run, it's the only extra base hit of the game. And it is he, Ronald Acuna Jr., who waits on deck next with 2 out in the 5th. 3 balls and a strike. And a full count now. And when Drew Smyly goes back out there in the 6th inning, we'll do a little deeper dive into how he has recorded his outs tonight, because he really has kind of changed his MO a bit. Having a lot of success with his fastball this evening. Payoff pitch to him. Past the pitcher. Sosa has trouble getting it out of his glove, and Smyly beats it out.
We talked about the good fastball, the good curveball, now the wheels and the contact, Matty. We talked about him putting the ball in play. When you put contact, good things happen. His second career hit, his first one against Pittsburgh right here a month ago today.
You know what I don't like about it?
Tell me.
He's in the midst of a no-hit bid. And now he's on base with 2 out.
I love it. I don't mind it. I like pitchers who play the game. He's a good athlete. You know, sometimes sitting around, Matty, makes you think about it. It's like getting iced at the free throw line. Let him get out there. Let him run. Distract him a little bit.
Well, when he goes back out there for the 6th inning, he's got to face the top of the Cardinals order. He is aboard as a base runner here in front of Acuna, who's walked and homered.
You know, this is fascinating. You saw the home run, 100th for his career. In the history of the game, you've never had a leadoff hitter hit 40 or more home runs as a leadoff hitter. Acuna on pace to hit over 50. Now, you had like Brady Anderson, who hit over 50 with the Baltimore Orioles, but not all as a leadoff hitter. Acuna has a special time at history this year.
I had to stop and think about that. If you say it's so, I'm sure we've looked into that. That's incredible. I would have not guessed that was the case.
I did a lot of reading this week.
0-1 the count to Acuna. Let's walk you back to the 3rd with 1 away and the base is empty. Number 19 on the year, number 100 in his career.
Spectacular career by Acuna. You know, it's amazing, Matt, that we don't talk as much as Harper and Betts and Mike Trout. We're now talking about, you know, the Sosas and the T's and the Acuna. If your baseball is a factory of talent that you have out there, and there's so much talent, it's an embarrassment of talent and good young men that are representing the game in a big, big way.
8 straight 4-seam fastballs by Helsley, and he locks him up on a 9th straight. A big strikeout with a man on to keep it a 1-run game. Drew Smyly back to work, having not allowed a hit tonight. In a 7-inning doubleheader nightcap, our Geico game track, just the Acuna homer, the 100th of his career. The only damage on the scoreboard. Look at all the zeros on the Cardinals line. Drew Smyly has not allowed a hit. He struck out 4 through 5 innings. And let's bring you tonight's cool moves, brought to you by Tide.
You know, Smyly a curveball guy, but tonight has been about the fastball command. All 4 quadrants. A couple east here. Then a couple up top north. And then west. 11 of his 15 outs tonight on the fastball. All over the strike zone.
He's been efficient. He has matched his career-long no-hit bid with 5 innings tonight. We talked about the Acuna homer being the difference early tonight. Here's how Pablo Sandoval saw it earlier this evening.
Le tira la curva, se la va a sacar, oíste. ¿Qué te dije? ¿Qué te dije? ¿Qué te dije? ¡Eh, chiquito! ¡Chiquito!
What are we waiting for? Let's get him in the booth.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Tommy Edman leads things off in the Cardinals' half of the 6th. It's so creepy, man. It's Edman, Carlson, and Goldschmidt as the Cardinals trail by just a run. Yeah, they haven't had anything cooking against Smyly in this game, but down only a run late. You know, here's a part of the rub for this thing, too, and I get it. It's a 7-inning doubleheader game. But the Cardinals' offense has not made a lot of noise late in games. Boy, Riley has been superb tonight.
The breaking ball hits sharply to third base. Riley respecting the bunt. And like a hockey goalie, gathers, takes his time, and a strike across the Freeman.
He threw a ball away in the opener and certainly has not let that lapse affect him at all on defense here in game 2 of the double dip. Here's Carlson now, who started with a strike. The back-to-back switch hitters atop the St. Louis lineup. And if you want to talk about maybe Beltran and Furcal recently, that's fair. But they didn't bat 1 and 2 regularly as, say, Vince Coleman and Ozzie Smith may have. But pretty rare still, not only in this franchise history, but for any team to have back-to-back switch hitters. Did he check it on the appeal? He did not. 5th strikeout of the game for Drew Smyly.
And the 5th strikeout on the curveball. And his best one of the night, sharp and tight. Check swing, he did not.
So his longest career no-hit bid continues now through 5 2/3. Here's Goldschmidt, who has walked in this game.
5th strikeout for Smyly, only 2nd on the breaking ball.
It's a rare non-first pitch strike from Smyly. Of the first 19 hitters he faced, 15 of them got strike 1. Back in it now, a ball and a strike. Goldschmidt again homered in the first game, a 3-run shot, part of a 4 RBI opener. At a glance, it would look like the power numbers are intact for Paul Goldschmidt. But then when you realize you're talking about Paul Goldschmidt, 10 homers, 38 RBIs, 3 weeks away from the All-Star break, might seem a little thin. And indeed, he has not hit for the kind of slug that he had earlier in his career. And a notoriously slow starter is well out of April and May by now. Still 2 and 2.
You're always looking for signs, though, Matty, as a right-handed hitter, as a power hitter, as any hitter. You say to yourself, summer's coming, guys are getting healthy. I had 2 home runs over the last 100 appearances. Now I have 2 home runs over the last 10 or 12 at-bats. And you start talking to yourself in a good way. Any small little bite wins. A walk, a hit the other way. Here's the curveball.
On the ground for Albies, tough play, spins, throws, not in time. Likely to be scored a base hit, ending Smyly's no-hit bid. And it looks like Albies is slow to get to his feet. Ozzie appears to be okay, and the Cardinals have a 2-out base runner. It is a single credited to Goldschmidt.
And Matty, sometimes as the 10th man on the field, the umpire perhaps got in the way. Focus on the umpire right here. And then to throw Albies, he does a nice job getting out of the way, but perhaps gets in his way, something you're not used to. For me, the umpire's out of position there. He should be either in front of the bag or way in the grass, not in the middle. Got caught in no man's land and perhaps cost Smyly a no-hitter.
That's going to be all for the starter. A great night from Drew Smyly. Braves to the bullpen. We'll be right back. Smyly was in this game. A bit of a dice roll here for Brian Snitker and the Braves as they go to Luke Jackson with the go-ahead run at the plate and 2 out in the 6th. And not any ordinary hitter either in Nolan Arenado. First, the information on the new hurler, right-hander Luke Jackson, making his 30th appearance of the year. He has been terrific this season. In addition to what you see 14 consecutive appearances without allowing a run. Riley knocks that one down. Nobody has a play, and it'll be a hard hit infield single for Arenado.
And a rocket here by Arenado, covering the line late in the game, trying to avoid the doubles. Gives up a single. Great effort. And John Lipka, second base umpire, a little bit out of position here, altering Albies' throw. Must feel like a quarterback with a defensive end in his sight. Umpire should be either really deep or in front of the bag. Right there, a little bit out of position in no man's land.
Tyler O'Neill now with the tying and go-ahead runs on base. A couple of infield singles. In fact, there are infield singles, a pair of them on both sides of the scorecard in this game. O'Neill drew 2 walks against the starter Drew Smiley. Jackson's fastballs hit in the air, slicing in foul territory. Freeman was hoping for a play, and he gets tangled up with the netting.
The Gold Glover, former MVP, doing everything he can to catch this ball. Or if you're a Braves fan, that just makes you cringe. Love the effort.
Well, if you're a Braves fan sitting in the front row, you're real grateful for the net, because if not, you have Freddie in your lap. 0-2 to O'Neill. Dangerous breaking ball against a guy, as we've talked about all night, that likes to hit spin. 15 homers for Tyler O'Neill, 8 of them against breaking balls. He's got the best slugging percentage in the game on sliders. You go back to the heater here?
I do. Up top.
Yeah, fastball up top, missed, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
And that's a really good take there by O'Neill. The power of restriction buys you another pitch. A tempting pitch up there, some high cheese. It looks really good.
Boy, and I mean just missed.
And if you're O'Neill, your approach should not be anything to do with a home run. It should be contact. It should be get a good pitch to hit, stay on top, playing a head and shift, hit the ball the other way, get jammed if you can.
The 1-2. Another fastball got him this time. Luke Jackson gets the Braves out of trouble in the 6th to the bottom of the inning. We'll visit with Major League umpire Bill Miller coming up next in a 1-0 Atlanta lead. In this rain-altered series. So a pitching change for the Cardinals as Genesis Cabrera takes over on the mound. The hard-throwing Cabrera making his 32nd appearance of the year.
The gas, fastball, curveball, and a slider, but expect some heat tonight.
Last pitched on Tuesday, a scoreless inning against the Miami Marlins. As we've talked about a couple times tonight, tomorrow begins the first day of enforcement for Major League Baseball's new policy prohibiting foreign substances on baseball, as Freddie Freeman leads things off. And as promised, we are joined by Bill Miller. Over 20 years as a Major League umpire, 4 World Series on his resume, and Bill's taking some time from the Phoenix airport because his crew just had the Dodgers and Diamondbacks and they went late. Bill, we appreciate the visit today. Tomorrow being the first day of enforcement for this new policy, as an umpire, are you guys instructed to look into certain spots? How exactly is this going to take place tomorrow?
Yeah, it's this has been a work in progress. We worked with the Players Association and Major League Baseball in order to just clean up the game. The foreign substance issue is kind of becoming forefront. Pitchers weren't hiding it, and so they've asked us to take a greater role. We've always in the past had the managers come out and ask the umpire to check the pitcher, but there's been a reluctance on the manager's spot on that because they maybe they don't want their own pitchers checked. So Major League Baseball has asked us to be a little more proactive, and we will be searching. We'll be searching starting pitchers, all relievers, and we'll be checking hats, gloves, belts, and it won't be. We're not going to strip search them. We'll just make sure that they don't have any foreign substances on them.
So Bill Miller, also a UCLA grad, a big basketball program supporter, coming off the Final Four. Hey, Bill, walk our viewers, take our viewers into the diamond. Someone's pitching. What do you say? Do you say, hey, so-and-so, can I see your glove, your hat? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, for asking that question, because that's something that we've been concerned with the pace of game, obviously. We don't want to slow it down. So we are going to be conducting these searches as the pitchers come off the mound. It'll be somewhere between the foul line and their dugout. We'll ask for their hat, their glove, potentially their belt. If we notice them on the mound touching their wrist, their glove wrist, their forearm, or going to another part of their uniform, we could potentially look at that too.
How is the enforcement going to take place with other position players? Is that just kind of random when you see something that merits your attention?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be checking position players themselves unless we notice. It's really hard to tell, guys. So if a third baseman has his glove and all their gloves are dirty, Alex would probably know better than I, but all their gloves have stuff on it. And so unless we see them potentially loading up the ball, we're not going after the position players. That's not – we just want to try to clean the game up the best we can. The catchers are a different story, though. The catchers will not be allowed to have pine tar on their shin guards or chest protectors, their gloves. They're going to have to be clean because they're touching the pitched ball every pitch.
0-1 the count to Austin Riley, visiting with Major League umpire Bill Miller about the new policy that goes into play tomorrow across Major League Baseball. And it's 0-2 to Riley now. Given we don't have a lot of time left with you, Bill, the fact that you guys now have your job to do and this enforcer's role, is it going to spread everybody a little bit thin, or have the umpires been quick to accept this new kind of world?
Well, I think because this has been coming from the players, a lot of position players are complaining about the spin rate. And so it's an understanding. It got a little out of control, and we're here to clean it up just a little bit. So we're just going to monitor it. I think it'll be good for the game. We're gonna do this fairly, evenly. We're not going to pick off certain individuals. We're going to look for certain individuals. We're just going to let the game happen, check them as they come off the mound, and make sure that they're clean.
Bill, we really appreciate the time. Thanks for kind of clarifying some of this with us. Thanks for the first-person perspective. And come tomorrow, as always, good luck.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Safe travels.
Bill Miller taking some time with us prior to boarding a flight for his next destination.
That's a real commitment.
Yeah.
And that game went long. Dodgers, Arizona.
I think the line that Bill had there, what he told us about, look, they're not going to be enforcing the rules any differently based on certain pitchers or certain players. This is a uniform policy. They're not going to be scrutinizing one guy more or less than the next.
Yeah, that's the thing that jumped off the page, is that I liked how he said we're going to do this kind of across the board. We're not going to look at this guy or that guy. Forget about scouting reports. We're going to see it and judge it as we see it.
A ball and 2 strikes. The count to Austin Riley. Braves looking for a little insurance in a slim 1-0 lead. Atlanta has their closer Will Smith up in the bullpen. Cardinals have the 6, 7, 8 part of their order to bat in the top of the 7th inning. Again, it's a 7-inning doubleheader game tonight. A 100-mile-an-hour fastball misses high, 2-2. Just one extra base hit tonight. The Acuna homer in the third. That's been the difference. Two. And Riley swings and misses, takes a hard bounce off the backstop. Kisner's throw to first in time to get Riley by a half a step. Sometimes the throw down to finish is academic. This one wasn't so easy.
And the umpire in the way, and the catcher looking more like a shortstop. Flick of the throw.
On ESPN telecast presented by Taco Bell. On this Father's Day, join Major League Baseball in the fight against prostate cancer by supporting the Home Run Challenge. Visit MLBcommunity.org to learn more. Doubleheader baseball on Father's Day in Atlanta, and the Braves are 3 outs away from splitting this twin bill with St. Louis. Cards took the opener 9-1. Edmundo Sosa is the first to face the new Braves pitcher, as their closer Will Smith is selected to work the 7th, and a couple of changes behind him. Ender Inciarte takes over in center, and that moves Heredia at left. Quickly 0-2 to Sosa. 12 saves, leads the staff. And Will Smith looking to make this 1-run hold up here in the 7th.
Yeah, fastball slider guy. And the slider's his pitch. Every once in a while he'll hang it, and when they hang, they go a long ways. Only one blown save all year. That happened 11 days ago versus the Phillies.
Luke Jackson finished off the 6th by striking out Tyler O'Neill, stranding the tying and go-ahead runs. And Smith has Sosa 0-2. So these games have not been slam dunks for the Atlanta Braves. One of their biggest issues this year has been in the bullpen. Tied with a last-place Minnesota Twins team for the most losses in baseball. And I think the punctuation mark on that all came last week when Brian Snitker had back-to-back 8-run games that turned into losses for Atlanta. And they became the first team in nearly 2 years to suffer that kind of fate. The 1-2 to Sosa, out to left field. And Heredia put to task early after the change from center, gets there without any trouble. Let's take a look at the magic of Father's Day in Major League Baseball, brought to you by Walt Disney World Resorts. Will Smith's dad, Dansby Swanson's dad, here on Father's Day to throw out the ceremonial first pitches.
And for Mike Sheldon, the Cards, 2 old horses, veteran horses off the bench. You have Molina and Carpenter perhaps available to pinch hit.
Here's Paul DeYoung. 0 for 2 in game 2 of the doubleheader, 1 for 12 in the series in Atlanta. (2-0).
If the Cards can get a runner on base, I would expect Molina to give one good swing. Available off the bench.
Wow, and Smith gets a call on a fastball that looked like it missed off the plate. There is Platinum Blonde Yachty. Perhaps thinking the same way you are, Alex, about grabbing a bat here if somebody gets aboard. 2 balls and a strike to DeYoung. 2-2 now. For the Braves, it's off to Citi Field for another doubleheader tomorrow against the first place Mets. For For St. Louis, this run through sub 500 competition continues.
Should be a slider here.
And DeYoung can't hold up. The only run of the night, courtesy of Ronald Acuna Jr., who is wearing a microphone tonight.
Me lo tiró. Quería un abrazo. Tenía tiempo, estaba huérfano de abrazo. No sé qué estaba pasando. Leí como ñañado, ¿viste? Pero gracias a Dios la saqué. Son al 100.
If we didn't have the translation, for those of us that don't speak Spanish, we would have thought he was angry.
No, he was excited, passionate. He said, I need un abrazo, I need a hug. He said, I couldn't believe he threw me the breaking ball. But I got it, thank God.
Talking about not getting hugs, I thought he wanted to fight somebody. Andrew Kisner, the last chance for the Cardinals in this one. A tough Smith slider has him swing over the top, and it's 1-1.
The Cardinals have been inconsistent this 4 games. They go 3 hits game 1, 3 hits game 2, 12 game 3, and only 2 here tonight. Looking for a bloop and a blast with Molina now on deck.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mike Schilt was hoping that the big offensive output in the opener was a harbinger of better things to come. But again, as the Cardinals plug away at this stretch of the schedule, 2 with the Tigers, 4 with the Pirates, 3 with Arizona, 4 with the Rockies. Still a chance to get things right before the break. The offense has struggled, however. 2-1 pitch is fouled away, and now St. Louis is down to their last strike.
Two hits for the Cardinals, both infield hits. Looking for a base runner and for Molina to get a chance. On deck.
Cards were shut out in the opener. Shut out last Sunday night. Trying to avoid their 3rd shutout in the last 8 games. And it'll go to a full count now. Does Will Smith try for a chase by throwing a slider that might not be in the zone to Kisner, knowing he's got to face Molina potentially next? Yes, he does, and he gets a chase to wrap it up tonight. The Braves take 3 out of 4 in a rain-altered series with the Cardinals. They split the doubleheader. Drew Smyly was brilliant this evening, and a home run by Ronald Acuna Jr. was the difference.
A slider, a filthy one, and his best one to end the game.
Tomorrow night on ESPN and the app, we'll have another one of these College World Series Major League Baseball doubleheaders for you. Starts in Omaha, 7 Eastern, 6 Central with College World Series. Number 4 Vanderbilt versus NC State. Jack Leiter, a potential 1-1 on the mound for Vandy. Then it's out to Petco Park for the first of 3 between the Dodgers and the Padres. That starts at 10 p.m. Final score in Atlanta, 1-0 Braves tonight. Up next, Sports Center with John Anderson and John Buchagras. He'll take a look at the best from around Major League Baseball on Father's Day, plus full post-game coverage and reaction from Game 7 between the Hawks and Sixers. And we'll shed the Sunday spotlight on Torrey Pines in the final round of the U.S. Open. Sports Center is next here on ESPN and the ESPN app. For Alex, Buster, Matt Vasgersian saying good night. We'll see you next week for the Cubs and Dodgers.